Well, we've done black metal. It's time for the most essential death metal albums of all time to hear before you die, before you croak and kick the bucket. These are death metal albums you need to hear. No fanning around. Let's get straight into it. Tomb of the Mutilated by Cannibal Corpse. Of course, this list is going to be what I think are the essentials, not my favourites, because personally, Kill is my favourite. I really like Torture as well and the Bleeding, but come on, Tomb of the Mutilated is the classic. You could argue Butchered at Birth, but Tomb is the one. It has Hammer Smash Face on. That's the most iconic death metal song of all time. If you say otherwise, you're wrong. So there you go. Tomb of the Mutilated. I don't know what my voice was just doing then. I just hit puberty. Tomb of the Mutilated sound like Homelander's son. Great album, and has to make it onto this list. Leprosy by Death. Come on, you didn't think Death wasn't going to make it. Leprosy, just pull the plug alone. Dun, 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 pull the plug. It's just absolutely iconic. This is slightly technical, but not going overboard like Human and stuff, which comes later in line. I love it. It's pure evil brutality, catchy riffs, and Chuck is amazing. So Death has to make it here. Iconic. Deicide with Deicide. Self-titled debut by Deicide. This is some evil death metal. Glenn Benton with his upside down cross. Dead by Dawn. Dead by Dawn. That's all you gotta say. Absolute classic. Most of these first ones are just gonna be... You're gonna know them. You're gonna know them. Like Altars of Madness by Morbid Angel. Another absolute staple. Like, I love the album cover. Like, all the creepy faces in the circle, feeling like, I don't know, they're gonna come out, like trapped souls are gonna come out and eat me. The songs are iconic. Morbid Angel is an absolute classic, and this is probably one of the best death metal albums of all time, so of course it's making it here. Dawn of Possession by Immolation. That's right. The riffs in this one, very, very, very catchy. Ross Dolan is a genius. The mood is evil. The mood is heavy. I love the riffs. I think Immolation is like a riff machine. And this has just such a great atmosphere on. It gets doomier after this with the next one. But then they bring the riffs back. The riffs are still in every single one, but I don't know. There's something about Dawn of Possession which has a special place in my heart. Now, we can't talk about that without Incantation, Onward to Golgotha. Golgotha. The more murky, disgusting, doomy brother of Immolation. Like, this is just dripping in filth. Just, it is. It's like you just wandered out of a swamp. The vocals are insane. The artwork's iconic. It's just an absolute masterpiece. Hey, let's talk about some Pestilence. Consuming Impulse is the album we're going for, with all the fucking bugs going on your face like, ah! Just the vocals, he would later be in Asphyx. The vocals of Martin Van Drunen are just so raspy and just so iconic. I love them. Easily the best era of Pestilence, even though I'm wearing a Testimony of the Ancients t-shirt. Which I do love the kind of spacey stuff as well. But I like Consuming Impulse the best nowadays. It's just pure death metal glory. War Master by Bolt Thrower. Talking about riff masters. These English guys know how to write a catchy fucking riff. And War Master is seen as the magnum opus. Takes everything from the grindcore kind of stuff they started out with and refines it. And just makes it a well-rounded, riff-tacular album. Let's talk about some Annihilation of the Wicked by Nile. You want some more technicality, brutality in your death metal? Annihilation of the Wicked has you covered. Lash to the slave stick. Diddly diddly diddly. It's one of the best songs ever made. Sacrifice unto Sebek. Every single song on here is absolutely catchy. This is one of my favourites on the entire list. Love Nile. Love every single album. Can't wait for the new one. Annihilation of the Wicked is the one to pick up. Some people like the debut more. It's great. There's no bad Nile album, but Annihilation hits you like a fucking freight train, and no other Nile album does that quite as well. Annihilation. It's where it's at. Effigy of the Forgotten by Suffocation. Yes, very heavy, very, it's quite technical. It's just unrelenting, brutality with Suffocation and the drums, just kind of paving the way for another subgenre which people will hate for years to come. But this album's an absolute classic, and what can you say? The album artwork's one of the best in death metal. Come on, Suffocation. Cause of death by Obituary. Why haven't we talked about this yet? You know, Sepultura almost had the artwork for this one, but Obituary, I've forgotten how to speak. Obituary, that's the right word, stole it. I mean, it's a H.G. Geiger artwork anyway, but artwork aside, this album is chunky, it's thick, it's just... The riffs are evil. Chopped in Half is one of the best death metal songs of all time. If Cause of Death wasn't on here, Slowly We Rot would be, but Cause of Death is better, so it's here. De Profundis by Vader. You want some more thrashy kind of death metal? This is the band for you. Still got great riffs, still got great vocals, but just a lot faster and more intense. Just the way Daddy likes it. Left Hand Path by Entombed. There's some Swedish death metal in here, and Left Hand Path is just, it has that signature Swedish sound, which we'll come to expect from some other releases that I'll talk about later, but it's just iconic, and some people's absolute number one. So, yeah, it's got to make a list of essentials. Seven Churches by Possessed. They literally pioneered death metal. You could say, oh, it's a bit thrashy, Death did it. But I mean, they laid the groundwork. Possessed Seven Churches is still considered death metal. It is one of the best. Seen them live, absolutely fantastic. It's got to make it here. Decapitated with Nihility. This is probably one of the more modern ones so far. The technicality in this band, awesome. Again, seeing this band live, I actually saw them at Bloodstock during the whole controversy, which was blown out of proportion because nothing actually happened. But anyway, this album, easily the best, most proficient, technical, and just great melodies and riffs throughout. Of course, Mental Funeral by Autopsy. You gotta have Autopsy on this list. I'm going with Mental Funeral. It just has this kind of evil, doomy, sludgy kind of sound to it, which is unlike a lot of other... I mean, it's similar to Incantation, but they do it a lot more doomy, I feel like, on Mental Funeral. Takes it to another level. If someone doesn't like Mental Funeral, you can tell instantly they're a poser. Autopsy sends Mortician home on a stretcher, brah. Speaking of, next up is Mortician, hacked up for barbecue. A classic, it's got more popular in time, probably because of the fucking memes, but it's still a classic. It still deserves to be listened to. All the horror samples give it kind of like a... I don't know. I don't want to say spooky because it sounds like Scooby-Doo. It sounds like I'm talking about Ghost, but you know what I mean. It gives it kind of that thick, rich horror style atmosphere, which not a lot of bands do. So yeah, Mortician, it's coming here. Bloodbath, Nightmares Made Flesh, more Swedish death metal, catchy. The song Eaten is an absolute classic. Bloodbath have to make it here. A lot of lineup changes, but this is the classic, I'd say. I would say that some of the ones with McKellon could be, but we're setting it in, hitting the lock-in button. It's this one. Cattle Decapitation, Monolith of Inhumanity. Cattle Decap had a great career. A lot of grindy stuff, death grind. A lot of the early stuff. I mean, it's still kind of death grind on this album, but it's a bit more refined. The songwriting, I feel like, is improved. It's way catchier, which may fucking put some people off, but go listen to it. It's heavy as fuck still. Cattle Decap has to be here, and this is the album I'm choosing. Yo, you want some cancer? Death Shall Rise. I always love this album cover. This is one of my favourite album covers. It's just fantastic, and so is the one with the severed head, like the machete going through. Riffs are great, vocals are cool, it has I was going to say spooky again, I've got spooky on the brain, has like an evil atmosphere again throughout it, and it's just an absolute essential. Benediction, Transcend the Rubicon. This is a mouthful to say. English, death metal, really fun stuff, and the vocalist went on to do an album for Bolt Thrower, and it was really good. But I feel like it's better suited, his voice was better suited in Benediction, I feel like, and this is an underrated album as well, so yeah, great. Let's go with a more modern one, Horrendous, with, I can never pronounce this, ecdysis? That sounds like I'm saying AC/DC. I'll put the link, I'll put all the albums in the description so you can do it of yourself. But this is very out there death metal. Still very heavy, still very catchy, but very technical as well. And not in a wanky, proggy sense, just in a really fun, atheist, well, not quite, it's its own thing. Go listen to it, alright? It's on the list of essentials, so make it essential and go listen to it. Dying Fetus, you know they're going to show up. Reign Supreme is my pick. There's a lot of albums you could pick for an essential for Dying Fetus. This seems to be collectively seen as one of the best, but again, you could argue for some of the other ones. Destroy the Opposition. Yeah, you could argue for a lot of them, but majority of people saying Reign Supreme, and it is my favourite as well, so I'm not going to argue with them. Yeah, it's great. Asphyx, Last One on Earth. This is Martin Van Druyen after Pestilence, and his gruff vocals just lend so well with this kind of war theme, Death Doom like style. I just love it. Asphyx is very, very good and very underrated, and every album is a fucking banger and it riffs hard. Necrophagist with Epitaph. You gotta have some Necrophagist on here, and this is the album I'm picking, and it's just very, very crazy and technical. Like, you know, Necrophagist, it goes bananas, and that's what the album is, it's bananas. Exhumed with gore metal, that's right. I mean, you could say this is death grind as well, but putting decap on, so Exhumed's coming on. Gory, savage, fast, furious, beautiful. Let's go with some Hypocrisy. Abducted, probably one of the best Hypocrisy albums. Peter Tartagren, can never say his name right. I can't say anything right. Again, a very catchy band. I like their earlier stuff more than the later stuff, but they don't really have any misses. Very consistent discography, but Abducted is seen as one of the better albums, so, and it's pretty much, I think it's an essential. Let's go with some 6 Feet Under with Haunted. Yeah, that's right, 6 Feet Under's making the list. This is pretty an essential album. It's probably the only essential, well, there's some other good 6 Feet Under albums, but this is the one. Chris Barnes left Cannibal Corpse. This album still holds up, still, you know, well, I like The Bleeding more, but, you know, it's in that same kind of ballpark, and I'd say it's pretty essential. Cryptopsy, None So Vile. I don't think I'd forget Cryptopsy now, would you? Crazy Lord Worm's vocals, just Crown of Horns, Slit Your Guts, like all these songs are insanity. The best vocalist in death metal, craziest music imaginable, and I love it. Dismember, Like an Ever-Flowing Stream, one of the best, I was going to say mellow death. It has melody in, but it is pure death metal, but the melodies throughout, it literally kicks the shit out of, you know, In Flames, Dark Tranquility, all that stuff. Like, this is the quintessential Swedish death metal album, in my opinion. I like it more than Entombed. Atheist and Questionable Presence. We have some, again, more technical, almost progressive death metal with Atheist. I could have picked Piece of Time as well. Some good albums by this band, but this is the one a lot of people, you know, they love the most, and it is absolutely essential to this style. Gorguts, Obscura, yeah, that's right. Considered Dead and stuff are great, but the essential one is Obscura. It is the most well-received one, it's the most mind-bending. This is the hardest to get onto in the entire list. Like, it's just, take everything from Necrophagist and Cryptopsy, mash them in a blender, throw in some fucking Beherit or whatever. It's just, it's crazy. Vedbwen's End, throw that in there as well, fucking mixing pot. Just total insanity. It feels like someone's smashing the inside of your skull with a sledgehammer. Constantly. Enjoy. Unleashed, Where No Life Dwells. Beautiful, beautiful, underrated death metal. With this creepy atmosphere that just makes your skin tingle and your hairs stand on end. And I love the vocals in this. So, yeah, Unleashed. Good stuff. Grave, Into the Grave. You don't think I forget Grave. You know, some more Swedish death for you. And the melodies, again, Sweden is so good at melodies, and Grave does it amazingly. And this is an absolute essential. This is probably more essential than, I'd probably listen to this over like Obscura and stuff, but that's just me personally. Classic death metal sound. Beautiful stuff. Malevolent Creation, Retribution. One of the fucking cool, like, Dragon Demon. There's a lot of good Malevolent Creation albums. This is the essential one, I think. Hard-hitting, fairly fast, just the riffs hit fucking hard, and it's just, it is what it is. It's an absolute bloody 100% essential. Massacre from Beyond. falling, little imps falling into the vortex. Again, I've seen Massacre, they were fun live. The latest stuff's it's whatever, but this album is absolutely beautiful. It's like they struck gold with this one. Trying to recapture it doesn't quite work, but this album, ooh yeah, this is a good one. Vital Remains, Let Us Pray, another underrated one. Vital Remains don't get the respect they deserve. Great, catchy death metal. It's hard to make death metal catchy, and they can do it as well. Great artwork, just pure punishing sound, and it's a chef's kiss. It's a mwah. Sinister, Across the Sticks. Yeah. A more murky sound. Again, evil sound. Yeah. Absolute just insanity in this music. Sinister, again, absolutely underrated and absolutely essential album. Macabre with Dharma. More serial killer kind of vibes, kind of like Mortician. It's more fun, I say fun. It's more upbeat-ish, I guess, in the music style, but very, very essential. There's a lot of good Macabre, but this is probably the absolute essential one. If you're going to pick one of the albums, this is the one to go with. Demlik, Nespith. With a more froggy kind of Inquisition style vocals, very weird Finnish death metal. Gotta be here. It's got like croak. That sounds like I'm choking on dick. Anyway, it sounds better than that. Hard to get into, but once it clicks, it's great. Monstrosity, Millennium, Monstrosity. The band Corpse Grinder was in before Cannibal Corpse. This album is fucking amazing. The only problem with these is that the album covers are kind of shit. But I don't know, there's a bit of a charm to it, kind of like a Dance of Death. Riffy. Vocals are fantastic, of course. It's gotta make it in Essentials. Nocturnus, The Key. More spacey death metal with keyboards. I think it's the first one to do it. Absolute just out there cosmic death metal, which has to be talked about on this list. Argoslint, Incoherable Bigotry. You didn't think I'd leave out Argoslint, did you? No, these are riff kings. Absolute just whipping the riff into submission, just the way we like it. Just the way Papa Questy likes it. Yeah, and Argoslint is really good at riffs. I prefer Galloping Through the Battle Ruins, personally. Wow, what a fucking hipster. But this is the essential. It's a riff machine. Go listen to it. Intestine Baalism and Anatomy of the Beast. Holy shit, that was a fucking tongue twister. Again, furious, evil death metal. You can tell from the album cover, it's gonna eat you alive. And boy, does it. You're gonna get your intestines just fucking ripped out by the beast, because this album's great. The Chasm, Procession to the Infraworld. Very strange death metal again. Kind of like The Key, but less like diddly-diddly with the keyboard and more just in a progressive kind of sense, but the vocal style took me a while to get into. Famously on the channel, it took me a while to get into Chasm, but this is the album that got me into them. Holy shit. And this is the absolute essential. It gets me into it, it'll get you into it. Catchy, still out there, but so goddamn good. Slumber of Sullen Eyes, with the whole... If this isn't on a list of essentials, something's wrong. This is absolute majestic death metal. One of the best albums of all time, not just in death metal, and it is pure 100% essential. Brutality, Screams of Anguish. This is furious, heavy... Whoa! It's like I'm getting brutal fucking hiccups coming out because I'm talking about it. Bashed over the head with a club or a police baton in England. Bongistan, just getting fucking brutally mashed in the brain. Brutally. It's like brutality. Great stuff. Cenotaph. I'm going to have to read this because I don't remember. The Gloomy Reflections of Our Hidden Sorrows. This is very underrated. Cenotaph is a great hidden kind of gem band, but this album is quite popular and it is an essential, and it's a weird style, very different to everything else on the list, but it has to be listened to because it's cool, unique, and, you know, we got to throw one like this on the list. Gorement, The Ending Quest. I always thought this was black metal. It's kind of a blackened edge with the death metal. But yeah, it's absolutely essential. One of my favourite album covers. Cool as fuck logo. Dark and evil sound. It's making it here. And last but not least, Disma, Towards the Megalith. So goddamn catchy. So just... I don't know, it consumes you into the actual music. You get lost in it. It's just transfixes you. It takes you into a vortex of just cool fucking catchy ass riffs in a kind of like this murky setting, and I love it. Love the album cover, love the logo. It's all goddamn good. So that is it. 50. I've probably missed one off, knowing Questy. Knowing me, I've missed one off. But anyway, 50 most essential death metal albums of all time. If I've missed one off, let me know. Also tell me the albums that you'd put on an essentials list. Remember, only 50, not 100. And don't go crazy. I can't put everything on here. There's hundreds I've probably missed off, because death metal is a very large genre. There's no Blood Incantation. Did I not put Blood Incantation? I mean, they're not really... I wouldn't replace it with any of these. I've got Incantation. That's all we need. So yeah, I mean, I could put Hidden History of the Human Race, I guess, for the more modern stuff. What was the Gatecreeper? I could have put that. Tomb Mold for the more modern shit. I didn't really want to put any modern shit on that much. Horrendous is probably the only proper modern one I put on, but that's so fucking good. Anyway, what did you think of my list? Let me know down below, and I'll see you again on another Quest for Metal.